In this video, we're going to look at the Mirror Geometry tool. Here I have half of my crow. Now, although we can use symmetry to model the entire character all at once, there are certain times that we may only have half of the character, or our symmetry might get broken and we need to make changes to one side that didn't reflect to the other. If we're in that situation, we have an additional tool called Mirror Geometry. I'm going to select my geometry and then go to Mesh, Mirror Geometry, and I'm going to open the tool options here. And we want to pick the mirror direction. So right now, the crow is sitting in the positive x-axis, but we want to mirror over to the negative x. So I'll choose negative x here. And by default, merge with original is turned on. We want that. This way, the geometry will come together as one solid node without any gaps in between, along with merge vertices. With that set up, I'll choose mirror. And that will mirror that geometry over, and it will mirror it based upon that center line that was established with the character. Now, lots of things can go wrong here, and I'm going to undo and take a look. So this worked well because our crow is already divided right along the YZ plane. And since I'm mirroring across the X, all of those vertices there need to be along that YZ plane. Now currently they are, so when I did that mirror, it worked out perfectly. But if we go and just disrupt this just a little bit, and we'll just grab a single vertex here, and I'll slide this over just a little bit, and then we'll go and try our mirror again. And we've already done those settings, so I can just choose Mirror Geometry. You'll see that we get a gap in between the geometry itself. Those vertices merged right here where they were touching, but that one vert that was pushed over the YZ plane caused the geometry to be pushed away by that distance. Therefore, I now have a large hole in the middle of my geometry. Now, of course, we would just undo this and make sure that that vertice was snapped back. But we can also look here under Poly Mirror, we have a merging threshold. Now, again, I wouldn't want to do this, but just to show you, if we raise that threshold up, it will close that gap and merge those verts. Now that merge threshold is so large that it's also collapsing our bird's beak and portions of his head. Now we can reduce that down to see if there is a better value there. We can also click on that channel and middle mouse and drag and interactively find a decent number. But you can see, again, because of that distance, I can't quite get it without having other geometry also be merged together that I don't want to be merged. So let's just undo this and we'll bring this back. And we'll have the opposite problem if the vert is on the other side of the XZ plane. We'll just have a hole right here in the middle. And we'll choose Mesh, Mirror Geometry. And so we have a hole there. Now this one is a little bit easier to fix because now we're only trying to merge a single vertex together. So if I go to my Poly Mirror and raise that merge threshold up, I can then get that vert in there, but still getting the top of his head, which we really don't want. We could try to see if there is a magic number here. And right there at 0.18, it lets the head go, but that's also the distance in between there. So ultimately, when we do a mirror, we want to make sure that all of those vertices reside in the same plane and that they're on the plane that we're mirroring across. In this case, positive x over to negative x means that we're going to mirror across the YZ plane. To flatten these vertices out, I'm going to select the entire edge loop, and we'll just convert this over to vertices so we can see it a little bit better. And I'll hit W just to bring up my move tool. And let's go to a front view. And then we'll snap to the grid. So I'll hold X to engage that snapping tool. And I will just select the X axis and click that and drag. Now that did not close that gap. That one vert is still not positioned properly. There's a reason for this, and that's in the Move tool itself. So we've done everything right, but if we open up our Move tool and we scroll down, we'll see that we have this option right here turned on, which is Retain Component Spacing. This will prevent our vertices from aligning to that grid plane. So we'll just uncheck that and just repeat the process. I'll hold X and just grab my X channel. Now that gap is closed. All of those vertices are snapped along the same plane. We'll go back to Object Mode, and let's switch to Perspective, Mesh, Mirror Geometry. Nice and clean.